So as per usual, we just got the whole place exactly how we wanted it, and we figured, well, we'll just see what's out there. And before we knew it, there was a whole new renovation project underway. Hiya folks, welcome back. And if you've been following this little mini-series about past renovations that I've done, the first video that you saw was of a Tyneside terraced flat that we renovated. That involved a good couple of years of living in an absolute building site, but we eventually got it all the way that we wanted, and then this little fella came along, and it was just in time for us to find this gem of a property, a 1920s semi-detached property. Again, needed a lot of work doing to it, full renovation from top to bottom, but we were very happy with it once it was all done. If you remember, the main selling point of this house was obviously the garden, but one of the big problems is that the house itself was very difficult to extend. A lot of people mentioned in the comments, could we have put an extension on? And not easily, not within the kind of budgets that we were talking about. That said, we've never done a renovation with the plan to just sell it as soon as we've been finished. It's just that's the way circumstances have ended up kind of panning out. And that's exactly the same as what happened here, just at the point that this happened. So just to back up a little bit, and I haven't shown you every renovation that we've done over the years. We've done a lot of these kind of projects, but these are probably the most interesting ones that we've done. But Gosforth, where we ended up moving to, is a really interesting little suburb of Newcastle, and it has a real mix of properties, from relatively cheap flats and doer-uppers and things all the way through to multi-million pound mansions. One of the big problems with Gosforth though is that if you're wanting a relatively big house with a decent sized garden, then they get snapped up very quickly, and generally they're a lot more expensive and they're harder to find. So when this property came on the market, we just had to have a quick look at it and see what it was all about. We'd seen properties like this in Gosforth before, but not in the kind of price range that we could have dreamt about affording. So we went for a viewing, had a quick look round, and we just fell in love with it. It was a gorgeous property, beautiful big back garden, really big, well-proportioned rooms, but the house did need a lot of work doing to it. So, same rules as normal, blank canvas. Let me know in the comments what you would do to a property like this. I'm going to give you a full tour of it. I'll show you all the plans as it currently stands, and I'll show you what it looked like when we first moved in. So it's a semi-detached 4-bedroom house, built around 1935. The overall plot size is about 494 square meters, which is about 5,300 square feet. The house itself is 165 square meters, which is about 1,800 square feet. So it's really quite a substantial property. I'll show you some plans first of what it looked like when we first bought the property, and then I'll give you a full guided tour of what it looked like. Pop down in the comments below what you would do with a property like this. I'm not going to kind of define a budget for this one because well, we didn't have a defined budget. It was kind of a case of we did what had to be done to it, and yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Pop down in the comments what you would do, and I'll let you know next week exactly what we ended up doing, and I'll show you all the kind of before and after pictures and whatnot. So here's the downstairs layout. Front door is just at the bottom there. You've got this little kind of entry porch area, and then an inner door coming into quite a big hallway. I mean, this, as I say, it's a big property. If you look at the size of the living room, 4.32 meters by 6.04 meters from front to back. And then you've got a dining room that's pretty much the same size as well. Anyway, so coming through the hall, you've got a doorway into the dining room, doorway into the living room. The living room and dining room have like a double partition door between them. You've then at the back here got a doorway just into an understairs cupboard. There's no access to the garage from inside the house at all at the minute. We've got the breakfast room at the back. This is a weird little room here. It's really bizarre for such a big house that we've got such a tiny kitchen and this big weird kind of breakfasting room thing at the back here that, yeah, really weird. That's got kind of a sliding door between the breakfasting room and the kitchen. You've then got the back door that takes you out into the back garden, and then you've got a little alleyway that takes you into the back garage door. And again, just to get an idea of the size of the garage, you're looking at 5.09 meters by 3.81 meters, so it's bigger than a single garage. It's like a 2/3 size garage, I would describe it as. Oh, and forgot to mention as well, little downstairs loo just at the bottom of the stairs there. All of the red lines are just showing where radiators are currently located, including a huge curved radiator at the front of the dining room there. We've got a chimney breast here in the dining room and a chimney breast here in the living room. Nice big patio doors leading out into the back garden. There's not much more to say about the downstairs. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to talk about the front and back gardens too much, other than the fact that the front is easily big enough for 2 cars, but the driveway opening is a little bit narrow. The back garden is huge and gorgeous. Then heading upstairs, we've got a reasonable size kind of landing area here. Bedroom 1 at the front of the house there with a big bay window. Bedroom 2, again, really nice size bedroom. Both bedroom 1 and bedroom 2 have built-ins, which I'll show you in a minute. For some reason, there's a bit of an obsession with putting sinks in every room. That seemed to be a trend back in kind of the 80s of putting sinks into bedrooms. We've got one in bedroom 2 and one in bedroom 4 at the minute, and the one in bedroom 2 is literally inside a cupboard, so yeah, bit odd. Bedroom 3 with these little kind of offshot triangular bit at the back, which is quite a nice little feature, and bedroom 4 at the front there. But I mean, they're the smallest bedrooms, but they're still decent size bedrooms. In most properties I've been in, you're lucky if you get main bedrooms the size of bedroom 3 or 4, never mind your smaller bedrooms. The bathroom is a feast for the eyes, which you will see very shortly, and we've got a separate WC. This area here is a flat roof over the garage. Nothing is obviously there. We've got a kind of stained glass window there next to the staircase. So let me show you around the actual house itself. And the hallway, for a start, very dated. Nothing really to write home about. We do have all of this kind of wood panelling, but the wood panelling, it's not in the best of conditions, and it's got years and years of paint on. If you wanted to take that on as a project and try and strip it back to the original wood, your funeral, I don't think it would be practical. I don't think it would look particularly good. It would look like wood panelling that's had paint stripped off it. I do love wood panelling in hallways, but not when it's been painted, unfortunately. Apologies for the mess, the trials and tribulations of trying to do a house renovation with a 2-year-old. The front door was quite nice, but not particularly secure, and you can see there's all sorts of like gaps, and it was slightly warped as well. There's a lot of bizarre security measures around this property. I can only assume either they were very paranoid or they had actually been broken into at some point, but I don't know. But you can see there's this kind of mesh on the doorway that it's not going to stop anyone really, but obviously it was just a peace of mind thing, I presume. We'll come across a few more things like that as I show you around. Just up the stairs to the upstairs landing here, and again talking about these security features, all of the doors had these little slide bolts on for whatever reason. I'll show you that window in a minute, but the window's got like bars on the inside, which, yeah, bizarre. Not a particularly pleasant banister, so yeah, something needs done with that. We've also got delightful Artex absolutely everywhere. I was saying before, but yeah, but bars everywhere. Bars on the windows above the garage. I don't... There's no sign of it ever having been broken into because they look like the original leaded stained glass windows, but yeah, not sure. Weird. And this is just kind of looking down the staircase and you can see the downstairs loo. The downstairs loo isn't at ground level. There's another couple of steps before you get down to ground level, so there is technically a little void under there, which is fine. Strange way of doing it, but does the job. This is a living room before we actually moved in. Obviously when we moved in it was empty, but you can see lovely, but very kind of dated. You know, you can tell it was lived in by an older family or older couple. And then this is it cleared out after we'd actually moved in, so curtains were left, and we've got these big kind of patio doors out into the back garden there. We've got uplighters on the wall everywhere. Carpets are in very good condition, to be honest. Wallpaper. We've got some picture lights, and this is a double doorway through into the dining room, which I'll show you a bit more of that in a minute. And just a bit of a wider view of the living room there. You can see that is the chimney breast. There's no fireplace at all in that room at the moment. And then dining room, again, very similar story. Obviously, this is it before we moved in. And they did actually ask if they could leave some of the furniture, which we were fine with, although we didn't particularly need it. I think we did keep that unit, actually. So we've got curtains left as well, nice kind of leaded windows at the front there, huge curved radiator in the bay. One thing as well, I can't remember if it was like this in the living room, but in the dining room we've got these curved walls. It was like that all around the dining room, and you can see, yeah, all the corners of the room are curved. The doors are nothing to write home about, nothing particularly pleasant going on with the doors in this property, unfortunately. Even the glass doorway going between the living room and dining room isn't something I would particularly want to keep, although it is useful being able to close this gap between the two rooms. But equally, it's also really nice if you're having parties or friends round or anything, having that as one big kind of open space between the two rooms. But I personally wouldn't want it to be open all the time. I do like being able to kind of segregate rooms off. I know a lot of people are into the open plan living these days, but for practical reasons, if you've got a young family, having open plan living does have its kind of pros and cons. So coming through from the back of the hallway, you come through this doorway here, and as I say, you come into this kind of breakfasting room, and it's this weird kind of room that has like very limited use, and then you've got this sliding door over here towards the kitchen, and the kitchen for a house of this size was absolutely tiny. And we've got like little gems on the wall, like whatever this is, this like gas powered grill thing. But you can see at the minute we've got like the cooker is kind of squeezed over in the corner here. We've got a standalone fridge and freezer. We've got a standalone dishwasher. And we've got the sink in this little corner here. So you can barely even get a view over the garden or anything like that. And then looking over the other side of the kitchen, you've got the washing machine there. And it's just horribly cramped. You know, it's quite a decent kitchen, real wood doors and everything, but yeah, not practical for 21st century living at all, unfortunately. Bedroom wise, I'll pre-warn you now, we're not going to be doing a huge amount to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are fine really the way they are, maybe a bit of redecoration over time, but the carpets are fine, you know, the wallpaper, not our choice, but it would be like these curtains would have cost a fortune, and there's only so much you can rip out and realise that you're going to have to be spending thousands to replace it. Slightly odd padded doorway in the main bedroom. Then the second bedroom, again this is before we moved in, so this has still got a bit of furniture left in, but we've got these big built-ins at the back here. This is it cleared out after we'd actually moved in, and as I say, in that cupboard there's a sink, which is unusual. Really good sized room though, hard to see on these pictures since I didn't have a wide angle lens, but yeah, it's a decent sized bedroom. And then I was saying at the back of the house we've got bedroom 3 with this kind of little triangular window thing looking over the back garden, which is really nice. Again, built-ins in that bedroom as well. Bedroom 4 at the front of the house here with this nice little corner window in. As I say, again we've got this obsession with having a sink in every room. Nice little room. It would either be a very small double or a fairly decent sized single room, certainly big enough for a toddler or small child. The bathroom was truly stunning with this solid cast iron turquoise bathroom suite, fully tiled from top to bottom, and above the bath we've even got these lovely 70s kind of, where it's just a fluorescent tube with a bunch of kind of slightly yellowed plastic covering them up. Yeah, but it is a decent sized bathroom. You can see we've got quite a big sink there, again turquoise, and we've got quite a big bespoke shower area here as well. And then the separate upstairs toilet here. Decor's not to our taste at all. And yeah, again, we've got these strange bars on the windows, and we've got the original leaded windows there. It doesn't look like it's been broken into ever. I think it's just a paranoia thing. Maybe it's just as you get older, maybe you want to batten down the hatches a bit more, so to speak. I'm not sure. Garage-wise, here's the back door that leads out into the kind of back alleyway out the back of the kitchen. As I say, decent-sized garage, and yeah, most of this stuff I think was left in the property. We'll very briefly talk about the electrics. This is in the understairs cupboard here, and you can see the original supply coming in down the bottom here. We have actually got a relatively modern meter, but you can tell from everything else this is ancient. particularly apparent from this consumer unit here. Believe it or not, these are actually trip switches, kind of very, very early design of trip switches. So it's not like absolutely terrible old wire fuses, but it is something you would probably be looking to replace all of this while you're doing the renovation. A couple of things to note when you're thinking about how much all this work's going to cost. The double glazing really needs to be replaced. The double glazing is kind of first generation double glazing, not particularly efficient. There's a lot of the windows don't open properly, and although at first glance it looks okay, the double glazing really needs to be replaced. If you're doing all of this work to the property, what you don't want to do is get the place all finished and then do the windows afterwards. If you're going to do the windows, it's the sort of thing you're going to want to do sooner rather than later. Another thing worth mentioning as well is in the back garden, most of the trees are fine, but we've got this tree here at the front which is very close to the property. The branches that are growing off this tree are pretty much touching the property. And obviously this picture was taken around kind of autumn time, but when this tree is full of leaves, it shades almost the entire back garden. So really something needs done with that. I'll pre-warn, it's a conservation area. There's no specific TPO on the trees, but you would have to apply for planning permission to take any trees down in this particular garden. Another thing briefly worth mentioning about the hallway, you can't really tell on these photos here, but this hall floor is sagging. There's a considerable bow in the floor and something needs sorted out there, because the floor in its current state is not flat and it doesn't feel properly supported at all, so there needs to be some investigation to see what's going on with the floor. Obviously there's the electrics that we've already talked about, and one other thing that I haven't really mentioned yet is the central heating, and interestingly the central heating is in this outside boiler cabinet with a random manhole cover on the top, which if anyone can explain that. This is just a kind of open cupboard with a gas boiler inside it. I presume maybe at some point it had oil central heating and maybe there was a tank in here and you got access to the tank via this kind of iron manhole cover at the top. I'm not sure. Gas boiler, Potterton boiler if I remember rightly. It was fine but old. It is a tanked system in this house, so you've got a hot water tank in the loft and you've got a water header tank in the loft as well. We'll talk about the plumbing a bit more in the next video because the plumbing was interesting. So the general consensus, the boiler is fine. I don't know whether you would even be able to put a combi boiler in a house of this size. Let us know in the comments. Certainly back then when we bought this place, I don't think combi boilers were up to the job of providing hot water to a house this big. But maybe they are now. As I say, let me know. This kind of growth on top here is actually a chimney, which has clearly been added on at a later date. It doesn't look part of the original property. It's not used for anything because the boiler flue is just at the side here, so that chimney is pretty much redundant. One other thing I haven't mentioned is the loft. It does have a big loft, but again, tiny loft hatch in the upstairs hallway. So you could certainly make use of the loft for storage. You could probably do the loft out, but whether or not you would want to do that is completely up to you. And other than that, that's it. So let me know in the comments what you would do to this property. Keep it sensible. Extensions cost a lot of money, but because of the time that we bought this, which was around the time of the kind of 2008 recession and whatnot, we did get the property for a really good price. So there is a little bit of money in the pot to kind of do some things that we maybe wouldn't normally have considered doing to a property like this, but it does just give us a few options that we might not have had before. So let me know what you think. Pop down in the comments what you would do. And then next week, I will show you the full renovation, what we ended up doing to this house. Thanks once again for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Take care, folks. I shall see you next time. Teddy, bye.